people, and I really believe that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole Encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you read the whole Encyclopedia set, you think you're one of the smartest people in the world,
right,
only to get out in the world and find out you don't know anything, you know? So it was a confusing time, but yeah, I had a childhood. I was grown, but I at 5 years old, I was in front of 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So yeah. It came full circle for my life. I knew that the applause and the giving of information and laughs and truth to people somehow benefited them and also benefited you. And yeah, so when they would ask me what I wanted to be, everything that I would say that I wanted to be was something that didn't exist. And they would never give me credit for it because I needed to say a doctor or a lawyer, but that's not what I wanted to be.
So your parents weren't as supportive as you would have hoped because you were wanting to be things when you got older that they had no knowledge of, or it didn't exist at the time?
No, it wasn't that. It was, I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a 4.16 if I'm
there's Jimmy John's across the street. We can order a sub.
But
you've been on the submarine. That what you sub?
So back then it was even greater. So you got this guy that all the coaches want to play.
Man, Cass, don't do that.
Hold on, because I'm 5'5" in the 5th grade. I've been this high my whole life. Like, there was a portion of school where I was one of the big dudes. Like, as soon as everybody caught their growth spurt, I was out of there. But I'm saying I was a competitive individual. My father was an athlete.
I can see that.
Like, no, I've been 145 pounds my whole career. That's why I never bothered when they said, your cat's on drugs. I knew, how you gonna prove that? My body is a temple.
I've been the same size since I was 10.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like I haven't changed off this pivot foot. This has always been who I was before stand up or anything. But it was an interesting childhood. I appreciate my parents, even though I couldn't live within the religious frameworks of what they had set up. But that was more not wanting to live a double life and not want to embarrass my family. You know what I mean?
Because I read where a form of punishment for you is that they would take books because you mentioned you were such a voracious reader. And a form of punishment was when they would take the books for them because you could read fluently. You told me how at like 3 or 4 years old you could read, not just a little child's book, but you could read.
Well, I'm saying when we go to Haiti to do missionary work, understand that my mother and my father, nobody that's there with us speaks French. And, it speaks Creole and reads French. So I'm in charge of everything, from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like, I'm saying, so I'm not just reading, I'm reading in multiple languages. Like,
How old are you at that time?
I'm probably reading 3,000 books a year from the time that I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 12. No fiction books at all. I'm only reading nonfiction.
You could drive. At 12, you received a full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio. But you failed, so you would become ineligible. Why didn't you want to take that opportunity?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined the gang and you get a big homie, right? Like, at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
That it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story